Hello, everybody, and glad to have everybody here for season 4. Yay! I can see Jay Santiago's here. Glad to see you. I can see Ron's in the house. Me and Ron were talking a little bit earlier. We got Ethan back. John's back. We all had a nap earlier, I think, so we're all good to go. And we're going to get to the meat of the subject and everything here in just a little while. First off, I guess I want to go around the room and let everybody say what they did for New Year's and what Santa Claus may or may have not brought for Christmas. Ron Brown.
Hello, Bill. Welcome to season 4. It's good to be here with you guys. Can't believe it's a new season, a new year. I didn't really do anything noteworthy on New Year's, just to kind of enjoyed the small things, and I didn't get any drones for Christmas, but I got the new Apple earbuds, the noise canceling ones, and these things are terrific. They're a nice upgrade over the original earbuds. Again, they're just fantastic. I'm gonna do a full review soon, but I don't want to talk forever, so I'm going to throw it over to my buddy John Cuppi to catch us up.
Thanks, Ron. Hey, guys. Good to be back. Always awesome. I had a great Christmas. I got to spend a whole week, Christmas week, with my parents. Came back here and then had a little bit of New Year's. And didn't really get any new drones or anything for Christmas or anything like that. But that's all cool. It was a good holiday. I had a good time. And with that being said, I'm going to just throw it over to Ethan.
Hey, guys. Well, I hope everybody had good holidays. We did a lot of traveling, so I didn't get any new drones, but just did a lot of traveling, spent a lot of time with family. My wife and I both worked a lot over the holidays. That's kind of being in the medical field. That's kind of what happens. But I'm looking forward to seeing everybody and chatting with everybody. And we got a lot of new, exciting things to talk about tonight. And with that, I will throw it over to Bill.
Yay! Glad to have everybody here. Dave! Glad to see you, Dave, all the way down there from Perth, West Australia. Hopefully things, and really and truthfully, I feel for y'all down there. I wish we could just put a big thunder clap down there and put everything out at once. It's got to be rough down that way. So glad to have the people that are here. And like we were talking about, I personally got the Mavic Mini for Christmas. It wasn't planned, but I was really hoping I was going to get this for Christmas. And as of yet, I still have not heard anything from them. We lost Ethan momentarily.
He's got to restart his computer real quick, he said.
Oh, okay. That was in the background. All right. So cool. But yeah, I was really hoping, and I'm actually considering just going ahead and canceling and either selling stuff like this and the controller, or just sending it back and saying sorry. I don't know, because it's just kind of really. Excuse me. According to the email, weren't they going to start shipping batch 2 by the middle to end of January? They were going to ship batch 2, and I haven't even gotten my email to finalize my order from batch 1, and it's the 8th. And yes, thank you for reminding me. It's Elvis's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Elvis.
Happy birthday, Elvis.
Bill will be singing Love Me Tender later on in the show.
I don't know. What was it? Moody Blue. That was because remember when the album came out, it was that pressed blue plastic.
Yeah.
And my mom loved that and it was really cool because that was like my first interaction with anything other than that black, vinyl, I guess you would say.
Maybe with some of this upcoming FAA proposal, we'll be singing Jailhouse Rock too. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
I had to throw that one in there. Throw that one in there.
Okay,
you got a show title.
Okay, so let's go on to, since we all got some friends or acquaintances that are at CES, we can go on to the announcement of what new items and things we have seen coming out of there and discuss what people are considering about them.
Evo 2.
What about the new action camera / 360 camera /
That is to me even more interesting because we expected something new from Insta360, but we didn't expect a 1-inch sensor action camera.
Yeah, but I guess the thing about it was they misled, or maybe it was just me. I thought they were coming out with a drone.
Well, have you seen the kit you can buy where you put
I got all that. You can mount it on the Mavic and all that. I saw all that, but I really thought I thought it was like, wow, cool. You know, another drone from a new company. And then it's just like, no, we're gonna let you attach it to the old standards, you know? And I was like, that's not what I was, because remember they showed you the video and they threw it all in a blender and then and it was like, and I really thought it was gonna be a drone. So I don't know. I don't know.
Disappointed. But I still I just, you know, I'm glad I didn't upgrade to the Hero 8 or anything like that. Now that these guys have a 1-inch sensor action camera out, I mean, like, you may not need anything else now.
Yeah, the fact that it's modular, that is incredible.
Yeah. But I mean, I saw today, I think it was Ken or Billy were at the Evolve booth. Apparently the Evolve 2 is much more feature packed than the one that came out last year. Of course, the one that came out last year didn't even work right, so it doesn't matter what features you have if you don't fly right, John?
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't matter how many. What was it that Scotty said in the Star Trek movie? He's like, no, it's the more you put into it, the easier it is to clog up the plumbing.
Yep.
So yeah, that's cool. Oh yes, thank you very much, Roland, and glad to have you in here and get you some good sleep. And hopefully Ethan will come back. We don't know for sure.
So about that Power AX drone at CES, interesting, right? It's purportedly can land on water. It's really, I guess, pretty splash proof.
Now say this again.
Trying to make a huge comeback, especially
Power what?
Power Egg, and they're actually not not new to the drone industry. They had the Power Vision Power Egg, and it literally looked like an egg. I don't know if it's the same company or
the Power Egg X.
Remember Brian Singleton had it on the show at one time.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
And Josh kept trying. It was Gary. Gary kept trying to get him to take off. He was like, and then like 2 shows later, he did. Remember? He fired it up, and we all listened to it. We're like, man, it is loud. So you're talking about the Power Egg X.
Yeah, Power Egg X by Power Vision Technology. I think it's the same company who brought us the Power Vision Power Egg from long time ago now.
And it's got the styrofoam pontoons that everybody else has glued on to theirs.
Yep.
And then this weird, it's kind of a weird waterproof casing around the drone body.
Brian has just joined the chat.
Oh, yes. The new one looks like an egg. Oh, yeah, it does. Hang on a second. I'll go ahead and...
Yeah, it looks like a Mavic. It looks like a Mavic with an egg Mavic in a way. Yeah, he's right.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. There it is.
It's kind of twisted. Let's see if we can jack it up here.
Brian, go ahead and order it and review it for us.
Brian will order it when it's like $100 on eBay because they don't sell well again.
Look at this. What is this? So you can detach it and like
walk around the street with it. Yeah, I saw that in the video.
Yep, it's a 2-in-1 camera that you can mount somewhere and a drone. Yep.
Power Egg AI learns to look for individual faces, lock onto them when shooting video.
So don't buy that Hero 8 or whatever. Just get this, and you'll have a drone and the camera all for the price of one, John.
Oh, look at the body. Let's see. Let's go ahead and jack it up some more.
Everyone wants a drone that looks like an egg that you can do all sorts of stuff with. I mean, just look at them using that camera egg. No, I give them credit. It
looks like a parrot controller.
Yeah, it does look like the parrot controller.
These parrots can get rich, pimping that controller out.
It's the Scotty 03.
Yeah, you think that's it? Is that the parrot controller? Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Okay, let's see. I gotta jack it up some more. We're at 5.
No, I'm being serious. Like, is that the parrot controller? Because
inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah, I can't get it any bigger. 500% is all it's going to let me go.
Well, we'll get our best detective on that. Well, I'll send Marcus over there to the booth to confirm this.
Look at that thing. Yeah.
That looks bad. Now that's a drone.
Yeah, it is. Well, I couldn't believe you all were talking about that. Look how huge the Evo 2 is.
It's a little bulky.
A little bulky? Yeah, she's got a little junk in the trunk.
Well, maybe we can get her to diet or whatever. You know what? In all my excitement, I'll say my excitement over the darn Evo 2. You know what I never brought up last night is, okay, this is maybe this world's greatest drone, but in 3 years, the only place I'll be flying the Evo 3 is at the A&M fields for 400 yards. That's correct, John?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Because and Ken Dono asked him at the booth, and they said this drone is not prepared or ready in any ways for all the transponders and responders and all the things you're going to need. So this drone is 0% ready for the new FFA regulations.
Well, they could always update it in 2 or 3 years if and when all that happens. But yeah, so I see Brian is talking about getting the V-copter. So what about that one? What do you guys think of that one?
Well, it's certainly interesting. I jumped the bill. I'll make it short. It's certainly an interesting product, but I'm going to sit in the sidelines for a while. I'm not ordering until people like Brian and I think Bill the Drone used to talk about getting until those guys try it out for me first. Bill, throw it to you.
Yeah. I have the same thing. It just scares me of one engine failure and it going into tumble mode. And what it's going to do when it comes down, because with a quadcopter, it's at least if one motor goes down, there's a little more. But that one spinning vicious prop just scares me. I don't know. It could be the most fascinating and fantastic thing on the planet, and we could just be the next thing from little ducted fans and little hover drones and stuff.
And it does have 50 minutes of flight time.
Yeah, it does. What, 50 minutes, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, 50 minutes of flight time. I'll be bored before that thing lands, John.
Yeah, right. 50 minutes. It's just
well.
crazy.
The thing about it is how. There he is. He made it back. Cool. And Ethan has returned.
Ethan was out pre-ordering the Evo 2 on us.
The Evo 2 and the V-copter.
Yeah, he got his pre-orders in already.
Who did?
You did.
Oh yeah, I've been checking. I haven't seen it available yet.
I think didn't Ken Dono say that it was available for pre-order on DroneWorks? $199 down gets you a pre-order on any of the drones.
I think you can buy it at TomTop.
So Alltel is taking pre-orders.
I don't think it's Alltel. I think that it's DroneWorks.
It is. Oh. It's DroneWorks. DroneWorks is taking pre-orders at this time.
No, I like to get myself stuff directly from the source, especially when it's that kind of money.
Ethan, I'm taking pre-orders too. You just give me your
right
800 and I'll make that one.
Yes. So are you going to go Evo 2 Pro?
I'm thinking so. That's because having the Mavic 2 Pro, just having that capability of the adjustable aperture is a huge advantage. But I still would like to see some footage. The flight path that just posted, I think he posted a video about the Alltel 2 yesterday, and he had the 8K version. Some of the photos that he posted at the very end were didn't look that good compared to the Mavic 2 Pro that he had them side by side.
Well, I mean, I can understand that because I'd much rather have the one sensor and the variable aperture taking my photos than I would some kind of a smaller sensor that's doing some kind of voodoo and making a 48 megapixel photo, which I just know in my head that's not going to be as good.
Yeah, right. I think that it's still that sensor that's on the 8K one is still bigger than a lot of the other drones out there. It's a half-inch versus one over 2/3.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure what they're doing to get it 8K. Probably some undersampling or something like that.
Yeah, and some stuff that's going to take a ding on the quality at some point if you really push the pixels and really dive into it. I mean, it's going to look fine on cell phones and tablets, but
right. I know one thing. If you watch any of these other YouTube channels that do mostly photography and they talk about cameras, they always talk about megapixels doesn't mean it's better quality.
Nope, not at all. I mean,
so you can have a camera that's like 50 megapixels versus a 20 megapixel camera, and the 20 megapixel camera can be better.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And how about the what the bit rate on? They keep saying the bit rate's 120, but a variable 120, which is uncommon in high end cameras. But
Right.
They didn't say if that was the bit rate on both the Evos or just the lower end one.
Yeah, all three cameras are 120 megabits.
Okay.
It's variable, but I think almost all stuff is variable. Like if you take a like GoPro footage, or if you take a off of like a DSLR camera, and you say you take a really quick like file, like you record for like 5 seconds, the bit rate's probably not going to get up to 100. It's probably going to be around 90 or so. It's like an average of the whole thing.
Right. So you'd probably have to shoot for, I don't know, 5 minutes to really average 100, 120 or something like that.
Maybe.
Oh, so that's all the sensors it's got on it right there. Really,
yeah.
I'm just looking at this Evo. This was like a really cool machine. If I was in the market right now for a new aerial photography bird, this looks like this would be my next one.
Yeah, I'm not knocking it all. Yeah, I mean for your $1,500, you're getting a lot of technology there. And if you didn't own a drone at all, like if this is your first drone or your first roll drone, this thing's going to be absolutely fabulous.
Yeah,
so
it's supposed to be very quiet. And if Autel really steps up their game in the software department, there's no reason why this couldn't do some of the stuff the Skydio does.
Ethan, I'm glad you brought that up because I've never owned an Autel product. What lacks in the software and the app? I hear that common complaint, and nobody really explains what's lacking.
Well, so when I had the Evo, which was probably about this time last year, it flew great. As far as the piloting and the flight characteristics, it flies almost exactly like a Mavic, but you don't have all the same fine tuning in the controls as you do in the DJI Go app. Also, as far as features go, the orbit feature was very, very basic. Just a lot of the features that they had. Okay, number one, they didn't have a whole lot of like flight features. It only did like maybe 3 or 4 things.
Kind of like the Mavic Mini.
Right. And it was very, very basic. The active track worked okay, but nowhere near as good as the Mavic Pro or the Anafi.
Right.
And its waypoint system was, I think they've updated it since then. But when I had it, the waypoints was kind of like a joke. It didn't work very well at all. It was very unpredictable. It wasn't very intuitive how to set up a flight plan. And it just didn't work very well. But, the orbit that they had on it was almost identical to the orbit that was on the original Mavic Pro. It didn't do any of the gimbal features. It just did a basic orbit. Nothing like what's on the Mavic Pro 2 or the Anafi. But the camera, the selling point of the original Evo was the camera. The camera was awesome.
Right. Everybody said the unedited footage right off the camera was really top notch.
Oh yeah. If you wanted to like just post straight out of camera, that was definitely one to do it with.
And that's the big point for me on the Skydio 2 drone. The video right off the camera without touching it in the editor just looks terrific.
Right.
Even in change of lights, like you could take that drone up with the sun to its back, turn it around and face it to the sun, and it handles the adjustment as well as anything I've seen.
Right.
I thought, which one has the adjustable aperture? Isn't it the Pro model?
Yeah.
The 6K.
Yeah, and it goes down to I thought it was 1.8, but it's 2.8.
No, 1.8. It goes down to 1.8, and I guess it goes down to 1.8.
The f-stop on these drones is you can't really compare it to a camera. It's not like you're getting shallow depth of field when you go to a lower aperture. You're basically just all it's doing is low light capabilities, basically it.
Right. Let more light in. But of course, in a lot of drone situations, you're not looking for depth of field anyways. You want everything in focus, and
Right.
in most cases or whatever. And well, it goes up to f11, but like you said, on these smaller sensors with the variable apertures. I mean, like, on a full size DSR, you could shoot an f11, you get the defragmentation of the edges, but in a smaller sensor you do. So you f11 on a big DSR is probably more like f8 on these smaller sensors and whatever. I mean, we could talk about this all night, but you know what I mean, Ethan. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
You can't compare it to a full-fledged Nikon or Canon full frame, but
Right. Well, even the APS-C on a digital camera is bigger than a 1-inch sensor. So.
Right.
But I think I saw. Did I read correctly? I saw somewhere that it was going to film in ProRes codec. Did I see that?
Yeah, I did hear. It did hear that. That's correct. I don't know if both models, but definitely the 1-inch sensor one. But I think it may be for both models.
So that'll be a huge advantage for anybody using Final Cut Pro.
Can you explain? Can you explain that out? I don't fully understand it, and probably somebody in the audience doesn't either in the chat.
So you have like all your different codecs. You have like the H.264, H.265, and then you get into like the cinema codecs like ProRes, RAW, which all your cinema cameras do. But the advantage of ProRes is that it was Apple and Final Cut Pro were designed to use ProRes. So when you use ProRes, even though the files for ProRes are huge, they're very big, they retain a lot of the information, a lot of the detail, and Final Cut Pro will breeze through ProRes like it's nothing.
Bill's got something to say here. We're gonna throw it back.
Oh no, I was waving. See, Manamana said hello.
Oh, okay.
We need Paul. We need Paul here right now to do
The Manamana.
The Manamana song.
Yeah, if only he was here.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. And if you haven't checked that out, be sure to go over to Canadian Drone Hub in the mornings with your morning coffee and talking about drones and all kinds of fun news and stuff there. And you can always hear Paul and Roger and sometimes Kim and some of the other people that jump in on there and the crazy antics that go on in the morning. And definitely you have to tune in to hear the Manamana song. So I want to go back into the chat and say hey to 3X Drones, Ron. Chris Hope's here. DeMarco, FSU grad 03 is here. Roger's in the house. Brian Trudeau Reviews is in the house. As I'd said, Manamana is here. Rolling back up through here. I saw Jay Santiago, and I'm hoping he's still here in the house. Glad to have you here, Roho. Or is it? I hope so. Our Droner was in the house earlier. Dave was in the house earlier. Let's see. Roland blew through on his way to bed because it was late over there. We've been talking about the holiday. We've been talking about what Santa brought and didn't bring for Christmas. And I'm actually thinking about canceling my Skydio 2 order and sending all this stuff back. And possibly next week doing it live on the show if I can get one or two other people to do it with me.
Oh, that would be
wow.
Well, I mean, the whole point is
the bus show.
Next week is the 15th when they were going to be shipping batch 2. And I have not even gotten the first email to complete my order. So
I was going to say I don't want to rub salt in the wound, but there's been rumors that they're going to start batch 2 already. So
yeah, exactly. So the people at the end of batch 1 are just like, see ya.
Right.
So I guess it's if you're in batch 2 and you have more than 1,000 subscribers, you can get Skydio 2. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. If there's anybody from Skydio watching, please don't hold that against me. I just want the drone, man. So anyway, the big thing that we've all been talking about is FAA 2019-1100, which is the remote ID for UAS. There's been a lot of people talking about it, a lot of information going out about it. John Cuppi put out a very good, not a bunch of graphs and charts and stuff, just giving his soulful opinion with some fact-based stuff thrown in. If you haven't already watched it, please jump over to John Cuppi's channel. It is in the description of this page of this show and everything, so you can find out and stuff there. And so he collected a lot of information, a lot of data. And we had thought, well, it's going to take a lot of time to cover all this, a lot of time to talk about all this. And he just decided, I'm not going to put it all in a video. But we thought that we need to keep bringing these points up for at least the 3-month period to get people involved and get people to make intelligent, logical, good points and keep commenting on that page. So with that being said, I'm going to throw it into the chat as well as to all the gentlemen here as to what you all think of this, what you all think we should do about this. Feel free to get a little heated under the collar here because we're not the federal government. We're not going to weed out all your stuff and your ideas. We want to get some good ideas together so that, and something that I really want to stress, it's a new year and we got a situation that's really endangering our hobby. Even the big channels are saying this and agreeing with this. All this petty stuff amongst the channels, fighting for scraps off of the YouTube table because we're all their little, their little money-making hounds. We don't need, we got to get together. We don't need to be fighting with each other. We don't need to be putting each other down. We don't need to be arguing. We need to, at least until we save our skies, we at least need to bond together. So can we please put all the bickering and arguing and fighting and all this stuff away, get this out of the way so that we can keep our hobby, and then we can go back to that if that's what everybody wants. But for right now, we have a common cause. So, gentlemen, what do you want to say? Anybody? John?
I have a whoop hat.
He has a whoop hat.
No, Bill, no, actually, I agree with you 100%. We as a community, we need to come together and take this seriously, first of all. And the other thing is, we also, besides commenting on the FAA site and making sure the comment is, professional, concise, and really direct. One of the things I want to mention about making a comment is, and Bruce from XChat also stressed this point, is that we shouldn't rush to make a comment right now. If you already made one, it's no big deal. You can actually make another one. But keep in mind that the FAA is going to use anything they can to try to discount the comments. And like one of the ways they could do this, for example, is if you write something such as, this proposal is no good because you can't fly without an internet connection. Well, like they'll throw that out because they'll say, well, actually, no, you can. We've provided 2 ways to fly without an internet connection. If you use standard broadcast, then you can fly without an internet connection if there's not one available in the area. And also, you can fly in a circle in our little approved fields. Next, we've addressed that. So, we have to be really careful about making a good comment, like one nice, good shot comment. That's why I personally haven't commented yet. I'm still working on my response. And remember, we've got 60 days to do this. There's absolutely no rush. Now, the other thing is we also need to think about, just for the future, I think we got to think about how can we turn the tides on these guys, because it's true that all this is coming down from above, right? The corporations, they want the skies. I think most of us agree on that. We've got to think about how can we turn the tides on these guys. I don't think that most people are in favor of the drone delivery. And Bill, you could actually put up that graphic. I did some research.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I did some research. I wanted to see how many people are actually in favor of drone package delivery. Okay, and overall, I think the public is pretty mixed, and it's more on the wouldn't trust side, really. Like, you see, 39% wouldn't trust any drone delivery, and there's only a certain level of trust depending on the provider. So I don't think it's something that the public is fully on board with, and if the public knew about some of these risks involved with these big, huge drones delivering packages, maybe there could be a movement started against that. And then that would help work for us. don't know if that makes any sense.
No, John, you make an excellent point. There's so many people out there, regular people that don't know anything about drones. They're so afraid of a drone like flying near their window and spying in, which almost never really happens. But guess what? The Amazon drone will be flying by that window. It may not be spying because it may be, a computer flying it or whatever. But you will have a drone flying by your bedroom window, dropping a package off. So people's worst fears about hobbyist spying them will happen with these delivery drones. And let me ask you another question, not picking on John, just everybody in general, but I asked John directly since we're in the conversation. Do you think there's a way for the delivery drones and the drone hobbies to exist together without these totalitarian laws rules that they're trying to put in place? Is there a easier way to us to coexist, or that just isn't a thing that's possible?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think we talked a little bit about that as well on Xeno Nation, and it comes down to this: they just don't want to even try to work with us. I believe they just don't want to try. I mean, would it really be so bad if they had their space and we had ours? I mean, are we really going to crash into each other? I mean, I think that we could coexist if they wanted to attempt this drone delivery pipe dream, but they don't want to. And I say it's a pipe dream because I don't know about you guys, because I just don't think that in the end it's really going to be viable. What do you guys really all think?
The reason I put this up is something I need to point out to you all. Okay, if you'll pay attention to the way they've said this, you've got standard, right? Standard. Okay, that's the top tier. And you see the giant building with the drone pilot who probably doesn't even know where the drone is other than the GPS signal and a tiny little camera on it, flying for Amazon or whatever. And it's connected to the internet somehow, and it's going to fly to your home. And that's the standard. That's what they're putting you as the standard. So, right. And then you see over there at the far right is our little pop bottle.
Right. Does anybody have any questions about this kind of confusing chart? Because I got to tell you, when I first saw standard remote ID, there's a lot going on there, and I didn't really understand, and I still don't know if I fully understand it, but I can try to help answer any questions about this.
No, you can please go ahead and explain each one.
Well, okay, so for the standard remote ID, the most confusing thing to me was the whole broadcasting to the tower and then the internet. I kind of think that this graphic is a little confusing because here's how it works. With standard remote ID, you don't necessarily need to have an internet connection. There is an exclusion where you can just broadcast. And a broadcast would be like, imagine pulling up a list of Wi-Fi on your phone, right? Where it's broadcasting all the Wi-Fi SSIDs. Standard remote ID is all about. Your drone is broadcasting, say, its FAA number. There's actually a whole bunch of elements that would be in the message. I actually have a list here. I don't know if I sent that to you, but like a remote message ID element would include the serial number of the drone, your current latitude, longitude, barometric pressure, all that kind of thing would be in the remote ID message. And it's broadcasted either from the radio, from the drone, and you're also sending over the internet at the same time. The only thing is standard will let you fly if there's no internet connection, but you have to be broadcasting. If you do have an option to get a signal, you have to be using an internet connection so you can connect to that remote USS and send that data. So that's how the standard one works. The limited one means you're not broadcasting anything from the drone, and you're sending all the internet. I hope that makes sense.
And then the last one is you're stuck in a little
box.
Yeah. What was it that Ken Heron said? Drone prison camp?
Yeah. 3X Drones you should put up that comment by 3X Drones because I think that's a good one.
Oh, this one? The last one? Yeah.
If commercial drones are flying constantly in the air, okay, let's say this world is real and they're constantly flying. Eventually, something's going to probably happen. I mean, and the chances, and it's funny because the chances of that happening with one of those big drones is going to go up exponentially. The safety risk for a document that's so concerned about safety and national security, we really want all those guys up there? I mean,
what? And all of them with active internet signals bouncing around all over the place.
Here's another thing that nobody's really mentioned at all about this whole thing is that I guarantee you all these commercial drone flights, when they really start rolling, no, there's not going to be a pilot at the sticks controlling that thing. They're going to be all automated. Mm-hmm. So if they need to have an emergency avoid something, or say birds start getting in the way or something, there's going to be nobody there to evade it. It's just going to crash. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, and there's nothing in their proposal about that. There's no way Amazon and FedEx, in order to make money, you're going to have a pilot for each drone. That doesn't make any sense.
Man, okay, here's the thing. We can get stuff in 24 hours now.
Right.
How are you going to get stuff with a drone quick? Are we going to have some giant warehouse in the sky that's going to have everything that you're going to order from Amazon in it? No. So it's still going to have to come in that truck. It's still going to have to get to a certain point. The only thing that drones are going to be good for are rural areas where you can't get to easily with a truck.
Right.
And they're not going to be able to go there because they're not going to have the signal.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how drone delivery is going to pick up at all.
Well, I would also say, also suppose they get hacked. I mean, look, signal jammers are, I'm just thinking, in terms of hacking, but also they're signal jammers. And even though they're not legal, I mean, that could still happen. And we've seen drones get overtaken, mid-air. We've seen that is possible. Someone does that, it's going to be bad.
Well, and then someone was even suggesting that people might you see a drone flying over with a big package on it, you're just going to go and take it down and take the package.
I guarantee you Amazon be losing them left and right in Baltimore. I mean, it's hard enough to, not lose something off your doorstep.
There's a big difference. There's a big difference in a big old metal truck with a lock on it and a little drone with 4 propellers.
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, now looking back at their standard and their limited and all that jazz, I think that's just whoever thought that up is
okay. So some help. Something else has anybody seen the XJet video that he put out 2 days ago? So it would be basically a day ago for us. They found there, and the whole thing they're talking about how they based all this on the independently comprehensive peer-reviewed risk assessment. Through the Freedom of Information Act, we have a right to see that.
We do. And where is it?
Exactly. So what we need to do is on that comment page, we need to start asking, where is this independently comprehensive peer-reviewed risk assessment? We need to see numbers. You need to produce them.
Also, as far as, and I actually personally think the second tier, the limited, is the most reasonable. But I mean, aside from the 400-foot boundary, that's just ridiculous. I mean, that needs to be expanded a lot. But I think it's perfectly reasonable to broadcast your location. If you need to do it internet, that's fine. But I don't think there's any reason at all why they need to know the pilot's location. They don't need to know that.
Okay. Right. Another thing too is, what about these gorgeous cinematics, or say someone who owns a large farm that would prefer to be able to send a drone out to check on various parts of the property without having to hike all that distance, but they don't have internet connection?
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do about that.
I mean, because I've got a good friend that's the exact purpose that he has for a drone. He's like, I don't want something super expensive. I'd like something that would fly 20 or 30 minutes and I could look around the farm and not, because I'm getting older, my legs hurt, my back hurts. I don't want to walk all that way. And this way I could check things out and have a better idea. And if something was needed, I could hop on the 4x4 and ride on over there. But
Well, my understanding is that the standard remote ID, the FAA would say that the standard remote ID allows for an exception where if you truly have no cell signal in an area and you can't get internet, then you can fly. Just make sure that your broadcast is on. If you have no broadcast, then you can't fly. Period. End of story. So your drone would have to utilize a broadcast method of explaining where it is. But the second that you can obtain an internet connection, you would need to use it. For those who perpetually don't have a connection, I don't know. Can you just constantly fly as long as there's no signal at all for you to get in the area? And that's a tough question, you know. And what if you can get a signal from Verizon, but you can't get a signal from AT&T? You know, or were you going to be expected that if there is any kind of internet available, you got to have it? It's kind of a mess.
I've also wondered, what are they going to do with the manned aircraft that don't broadcast and don't have those systems? You know, like some of the ultralight aircraft and some of the paragliders, the hang gliders.
Currently, they don't have to deal with it at all.
Right. So, I mean, how is that any different than our drones that are even lower than what they fly at?
Yeah, well, some people have said that they may be coming for those too, but I also don't want to make enemies with another community of flyers as well. So
you can question about those guys is because they're not flying in front of somebody's neighborhood where the Amazon things delivering packages. They're flying. They know they're not flying there. That's why they don't care about hang gliders.
Yeah, Proper FPV says, where's the risk assessment? If it was high risk, we would be seeing it on every news broadcast. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's really simple. How many people have been killed because of a drone?
Well, it's like XJet says, show me the bodies.
Yeah,
I mean, they're making it sound like, you know, this is the worst thing since napalm, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, how many we've had 2 confirmed aerial drone strikes over
say 3. I've heard 3
over a period of like 10 years
since the beginning of hobbyist drones.
Let the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah, there you go.
He's hit the floor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then another point was a lot of people, and John included, was thinking that possibly at one point in time they were going to the actual, you know, private builder thing they were going to be excluded, I believe.
Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion surrounding building your own drone. And the reason why is because if you are a drone manufacturer, you make a drone, you're going to have to follow the remote ID spec. There's going to be design specifications, amongst other things. And it says, accordingly, an amateur-built UAS that is fabricated and assembled without remote ID would be restricted to operating within an FAA-recognized identification area, which means a field where you fly in a circle. So at first you might think, well, okay, I'll have to put remote ID on my amateur-built drone. No big deal, right? Well, keep in mind that your implementation of remote ID would have to be approved, submitted and approved, okay, to go on your drone. So it's not so simple. Basically, the way they have worded this, if you build a drone amateur built, you cannot fly it except for in a field in a circle. That's what they've done. And the FPV Freedom Coalition also interprets it that way.
Yeah, this reminds me of one of these laws that, historically we've seen that if you make a law that is difficult to follow, nobody's going to follow it.
Well, enforcement is going to be their weakest link, Ethan. It is obviously going to be their weakest link. But what sucks is nobody wants to be the guy that gets made an example of. So, it stinks. It stinks because...
And here's their excuse.
Overnight, you could end up, being a criminal per se, and it's ridiculous.
Yes, here's the impact of proposed operational compliance period, loss of use, So basically what they're saying is, John brought the point up about not having the law enforcement stuff, is they're basically saying that this has to be enacted soon, and it's just going to make all the drones that we have right now completely obsolete because they don't have all the people they need in place right now because of this severe crisis.
Yeah. Wait, Greg Pittman. I want to go over what Greg Pittman is saying here. XJet claims that there are more manned accidents than drone. That's true. That's also
A
true.
lot more, like by the thousands more.
That's true. And manned aircraft behave poorly all the time, especially helicopters. Today, I was in a local park in a more urban area. I checked my air map. Everything was all good. I didn't need to get any clearance. All good. And then out of nowhere, just literally out of nowhere, this helicopter. That actually kind of freaked me out because it was flying really, really low. And I just thought to myself, man, it'd be my problem if that helicopter, if my drone hit that helicopter, and none on him. There's no accountability for these man pilots. But Bill, going back to that loss thing, they estimate that millions of dollars in loss is going to be incurred by drones that are going to be unable to be retrofitted, right? So for those of you who are saying, who might leave in your comments saying, I'm going to lose so much money in drones that I already own in 2 to 3 years, you guys can't do this. They're going to say, well, yeah, we know, we've calculated that out, and we've already addressed that because we believe that the
public safety is more important.
Yeah, the cost impact is justified in order to reduce the delay for law enforcement, security, safety, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so what they're saying is rather than implementing it slowly and giving everyone a chance to get up to speed, they want to drop the hammer all at once, cut everybody off, and say, you got to comply now.
As fast as possible. Yeah. The annual cost of impact of loss of use is about $1 million. It's in the millions of dollars.
Yeah, I personally think they should treat this like they do with vehicles, Like you see people still driving cars from the 1940s. They don't have seatbelts, they don't have anti-lock brakes or airbags, all the modern safety equipment, but still they're on the road.
Yeah. And they get the historic QQ plates and all that, right?
There should be
they're limited. They're limited on what times they can drive in a lot of states.
That's true.
So it's usually, most of those are usually limited to daylight hours. You're supposed to take them in at dusk. They don't have to have the same insurance and types.
I just think there are other options. Like instead of, sure, put it in the new drones. Sure, go right ahead. Make some retrofitted stuff for older drones, but enhance the Lance app so that when you go on there to check the airspace to fly, you can see incoming flights from these other drones.
Yeah, but like Bill's been saying all along, this has nothing to do with common sense and nothing to do with looking out for the hobby. This has all to do with what the big delivery companies want. They just want us out of the way of their drones, and they'll try to push any crazy laws through. So what we have to do is make sure our representatives we vote in office look out for us, as well as appeasing the big companies that want to deliver packages.
I still just don't see it. I don't see how they're going to make it profitable. It doesn't make any sense, man, because I can already get it in 24 hours. Sometimes I can get it that same day if I order it early enough. Unless they can get it to me like the old Domino's pizza in 30 minutes or less, and I'm probably going to be paying through the nose and other orifices, then why do I want it, man?
Right.
I'm not going to put that UPS driver out of a job. He's delivering probably 80 people's packages in one day. That drone's got to go back to headquarters, be refitted, be reprogrammed, and then sent back out. I just don't see how it's cost effective.
Yeah, but I know we deliver the light packages too. It can't deliver your new exercise bike or whatever. But to Bill's point, they'll put all these rules in, pass them extra 30 minutes or it's free. Good. But they're going to put all these laws in. They're going to force us out of the skies, and then like Bill says, that won't happen anyways. This is a pipe dream. In 3 years, we'll be out of the way. But the delivery drones, they really won't even be in place yet. So it'll be like for nothing or whatever. We'll be benched for no reason. I agree with Bill.
Yeah, I agree with Bill too. Ron, you know what it is? It's that they want to go to their investors and say, look, We did it. We cleared the skies. Now give us your money so we can, make this work.
And the stock price goes up because they print all these articles about how they're going to do these great things with drones. Oh, I'm going to go buy more Amazon stock. They're going to have delivery drones, and the things are going to get there in an hour or whatever. It all again, just a pipe dream, or just a way to make more money from investors, private investors, and private public companies, all from people buying more stock.
Yeah. And to anybody who thinks we can trust the FAA, we honestly can't, because the FAA has been caught misrepresenting information before. And Bill, I think there's an image in there. I think it's the wrong information. You guys should see this, because while I was doing some research, I dug this one up. It's pretty crazy.
Was it the one from the website or just the graphic?
I think it was the one from the website. I think it's called Wrong Information, PNG, something like that.
Yeah, I remember when I did it. I just got to find it now.
So if anybody's in the market for a new drone, I definitely recommend on stocking up on non-DJI products, because you better believe if something comes out, the DJI drones will lock you out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And 3X Jones is saying if you can fly a kite just about anywhere in the country up to 150 feet, there's no reason you can't fly a drone up to 150 feet. Well, maybe they'll ban kites too. Anything fun gets banned. So, maybe they'll just ban kites.
Well, good job. When the Amazon delivery drones are out, I'm going to go fly. I'm going to get everybody in my neighborhood to go out and start flying kites to get in their way.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. This is a really interesting article from a law firm about drone sightings. And if you scroll down a bit, the FAA has not really been accurate in reporting the drone sightings. And this is interesting because, again, we talk about how we haven't seen the risk assessment. Okay, we haven't seen what is the risk assessment where they came to this conclusion that there's a national security and safety crisis going on that we're going to have, that we absolutely need to get this as soon as we possibly can. It's because the numbers probably don't work for them.
No, not at all.
Check that out. It's a perfect example. They can't even get their own numbers right.
Well, that was why XJet was saying, since we live here in the U.S. and we have the Freedom of Information Act, and they're trying to claim that this is the justification, that they have spent this money and time, and that this independently comprehensive, peer-reviewed risk assessment should be available to the public for us to see all this stuff we should be scared about, that they're telling us that we should, we outbuy them 2-to-1, right? We spend twice as much, and maybe 2.5 times as much money hobby as compared to consumer drones with all the gear and everything. Is that correct to say?
Especially if we buy that new Altel Evo.
Yeah, there are no lockouts on that puppy.
Well, yeah, you guys see that though? You see what they did there with that chart? Why did they not use that 6-month average from October to March? Because it wasn't going to be in favor of what they were trying to say.
Yeah, as a person that does research at medical places, and I do projects that do statistical analysis of stuff all the time, you can manipulate data to say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And that's the God's honest truth.
Yeah.
Right. So to those people who are saying, no, the FAA doesn't want to kill the hobby, I beg to differ. I really beg to differ on that one. If the public doesn't like drones now, the sure as hell won't like the big, noisy commercial ones. Well, Greg, that's what we were talking about earlier, that I think that one of the strategies that needs to be used is we gotta turn the tables on them. We've got to have like a lobbying group, maybe willing to run, political style anti-delivery drone ads. Like, I'm serious. Like, they create one of those scary ads. Do you want Amazon drones in the sky, noisy over your home?
Yeah.
I'm serious. Like something like that. It may also work against regular drone people too, but
I always thought even years ago when they first started entertaining the idea of delivery drones, I already knew right away. I was like, man, if these things start flying below 400 feet, like where we fly, people are going to be pissed because those things are loud. Yeah,
I actually
they
like this comment, really.
they need to be well above 400. They need to be at like 600 mark.
Yeah. But look at this comment here. This is hobbyist in its pure form. You know, he's like, man, you know, I work my butt off. And that's exactly what this is the whole point of the show. The point of the show, drones are therapeutic, man. That 10-minute release that you can get out of that, just that exhilaration of flying that drone, especially a Bugs 3. Because I remember the first time I turned loose a Bugs 3, I was like, oh wow, because you're really nervous. You're like, well, can I hang on to it? Is it gonna get away from me? You know, and then after you get up, you fly it a couple of times, you're like, all right, man, this is awesome. You know, and then you're ripping it around, and like me, you roll it down a tree or two, you know, yeah.
Well, Ronnie B, let me tell you what too about the whole approved field thing, and AMA members, they're coming for you guys too, because those approved fields, okay, the FAA is taking suggestions for those fields for approval. Basically, they're going to give all the AMA fields an exclusion. But after 12 months is over, there will be no new approved fields because the FAA believes that these fields over time are just going to be phased out and that all the aircraft are going to be running remote ID. So you guys who've been flying, you know, the planes for years at the AMA fields, have fun. You guys are going to have remote ID because apparently there can be no new fields on Earth, you know. They're just literally hoping, these fields, they know these guys are old. They're dying off. They're going to close their clubs. Their fields are going to close. And then we're not going to have to deal with it anymore. I mean, that's the truth, right? Why would you not accept any new fields for, past 12 months? I didn't know that there's not going to be any new places on Earth to fly in 12 months from now.
Don't you remember when I threw the fit when they came up with Lance, and I was like, they're trying to put us in a pop bottle now, and everybody's like, oh, it'll never happen, man, it'll never happen. We can't do that this time. We can't do that this time.
I felt different about Lance. I kind of thought that Lance was cool because finally you did not have to call an airport tower and say, hey, I'm going to fly, and have that annoying, awkward conversation that, let's be honest, most people weren't having. They were just going ahead and staying below the treetops and flying anyway. I mean, that's reality, right? I mean, most people were probably not calling the airport, and the airport control tower didn't really want to hear from you if you were just staying below.
They were very adamant about it. Yeah, don't call. Don't call, man. Don't do anything stupid.
It would be wasting their time. So, I mean, I've been using Lance, and I thought that's pretty cool. I can just go on there, get immediate authorization, and I'm good. And it also tells whoever's up there, hey, I'm around. I'm here. So, now they're going to get rid of that is what's going to happen. They're going to get rid of Lance. Lance is going to go away, and you're just going to be forced to use a remote USS, which I don't think we even got to talk about that much, but that's that third-party service that's going to suck in all your flight data and give the real-time tracking.
Well, here's the perfect example of how that's not true, because pretty much Ron and I fly mainly camera drones. I dabble in FPV. Ron dabbles in FPV. But John and Ethan especially flies both pretty much equally. And John flies more FPV than he flies camera drones. So I do think that there is a very good chance of a united drone community because, put it this way, the FAA has gotten united on all of us. Hobby airplane pilots, hobby drone pilots, builders, everybody. They've lumped everybody together. They're united. And if we don't get united, they're going to have their way.
That's right. FPV guys, camera guys, we've all got to come together, and we've got to be like a band of brothers here. There can't be any animosity toward either group because FAA doesn't care who you are. If you're FPV, you're screwed. If you're camera bird, you're screwed. So
even the fixed wing guys too.
Yeah, everything. It's all the same thing. So we can't keep our problem up to now is we keep going. It's not going to go through. I think some of the points, like I believe Ken Dono brought up something about the privacy issues, are going to be very hard to dance around unless they try to, which they could still kind of maybe drape it under the Homeland Security Act. that very possibly could go ahead and do it that way. But there's too many little areas, especially this, because we know there's no report. But the thing about it is if they've said it in this report, isn't there somewhere on a document somewhere money allotted for this report? So
it's got to be somewhere. We've got to get a hold of it. And I would not be surprised if with some Freedom of Information Act requests, something might be pulled between now and, how many days have we got now? We're down to 53 days or something like that to comment. So I'm sure something might come out between then and now.
I wonder, could we just comment that? My comment is I request a public display of the
risk assessment.
And everybody do that same comment. I mean, they could try to claim it, but the whole point is if the numbers are serious, we could be like, look, you all never came out with this. So you can't enact this because this was the public time.
Right. This proposal is unacceptable because it does not provide a risk assessment along with the document. Val says there needs to be no egos, just community. Absolutely. 3X Jones also says, I would argue the FPV community has more to lose in this. I would argue that too because of the whole amateur built problem. Currently, the way it is worded, like I said, if you build your own drone from anything except a kit that contains 100% of the components approved by the FAA in terms of this remote ID stuff, the design spec, your drone will be amateur built, and amateur built can only be flown in those fields. They've not provided any workaround except, and I will say this, if your drone is under 250 grams, all this remote ID stuff goes away.
Well,
But don't think that they won't come for 250 grams if they feel the need to. We can see what the Mavic Mini has done. The Mavic Mini has crossed a line that a lot of other drones have not been able to at this point. So, like I said, don't think that they won't consider coming after stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
The Mavic Mini seems very fragile, though. Go ahead, Ethan.
Well, I would also like to add, because I know we're getting ready to get into the internet service provider that you're going to have with all this too. But apparently there's a law in there that says it's illegal to surveil the public, and monitoring your location and storing that is considered surveillance.
Right, but the what is it? What's the Homeland Security Act or whatever?
Oh goodness, Patriot Act maybe.
Yeah, the Patriot Act. There we go. I'm sorry.
Might supersede that, but
exactly. That's what I'm thinking. It's going to stomp all over that, man.
It's a good question, Ethan. It's a really good question though about whether or not is this actually legal? Because what they're asking us to, what they're asking us to do is they're asking us to send our live flight data with identity and other information to this service provider that we're all going to have to pay anywhere from $2 to $5 a month for, okay? And then that information is going to be accessible by the FAA, law enforcement. Some of it will be accessible by the public. But, is the government allowed to collect that information from private citizens? Yeah, that's a good question.
Yep. I mean, I definitely think, for safety and whatnot, yeah, if you want to, they say that you have to broadcast your, the flight data, like your height and where you're going. That's one thing. But the position of the pilot, I don't agree with that at all. That is, there's no reason they need to do that. If they want to know where you're at, all they have to do is get get the serial number that you're broadcasting, look up who it's registered to, and call that person. That's all they have to do.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, and by the way, about these serial numbers, guys, you're going to need a serial number for each of your drones. You are not going to have this happy little pay $5 once and stick the same number on all your hobby drones. You're going to have to go Part 107 style. And you're probably going to have to pay for each drone. You have to pay a fee for each drone. So if you've got a whole bunch of drones.
These are all registered.
Oh, okay. There you go.
One.
So how much money are we looking at there? 5,
10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Yeah.
Just nickel and dime us, right? I mean,
well, and another thing too is if you don't want to, then, and what a lot of people are going to be confused about is if you don't have the ability to broadcast the remote ID, then you must go to one of those fields, but you also must follow their rules, pay those field fees, possibly be an AMA member in order to fly on that tiny little scrap of grass.
Yeah, you'll be looking at paying the $75, I think it is, for the AMA membership, plus club dues, plus, I mean, we're talking, it is, I don't want to use like bad language, but it is a something job, okay? It is not fun. It is really not fun.
John, I might as well quit road, just take up golfing. It'll be like the same cost.
Exactly, man. Oh man, I tried to go to an AMA field once, and I just asked them some questions about how, what are the rules for drones there, and I basically got an email that if you come by with a drone, you might as well not bother because you can't do anything without getting in trouble.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, don't fly in public places in Cuba.
Oh, it's $85 now.
Don't do that.
Now, AMA dues are $85. Back in
wow, they went up.
It was
Wow,
$75.
So they went up at the first of the year $10 because I thought it used to be 75. So wow. So okay, and
golf is covered too. Apparently, he said there's golf ID. I mean, we should have baseball ID, and we should also have kite ID because you never know where that baseball might go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
there could be balloon ID too.
I like the golf ID, man.
Yeah, a golf
balloons. Let me say something real quick about balloons. You know what's crazy about them? If they hit power lines, they literally will take out like a whole area. I'm not even kidding. Most people don't realize that. But if a metallic balloon hits a power line, it'll just take down like the whole street. Sometimes a whole little neighborhood. It's really crazy. Google it.
I think it's funny though because he brought up the golf analogy. So in golfing, when you're warning the players down the fairway, you yell out 4. So we'll just yell out drone.
Yeah, and you have to drone know we're coming then.
No, just drone. I mean, if all you gotta say is 4 and then you knock the hell out of it, then all we should have to say is drone or UAV, man.
Yeah, I still don't understand why they're gearing away with the land system. I think it works great.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
and the thing about it is why are they bringing more systems online if they're gonna throw them away?
Right. I mean, I think this remote ID, I think it is necessary for the beyond line of sight stuff and the automated stuff. But, line of sight flying like all of us do, I think is totally unnecessary.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that, okay, maybe if we can go to the remote areas and just be able to broadcast the signal, that's not going to be that big of an upgrade. We could do that if you don't have an internet connection and still get the phenomenal footage and stuff and still be in compliance.
Hey, Bill, highlight Greg Pittman's comment.
Okay, yeah. This side's frozen up, so I have to come over here. So
okay,
yeah.
That's a good one.
They will not be responsible for the pilot's safety when a deranged person shoots a pilot because he's pissed. Yeah, they'll take no response. Oh no, not.
I like Val's comment as well about how FPV doesn't usually fly high enough to be a problem, and but we're going to get penalized. Where they're trying to penalize us anyway. It's true. I mean, for the most part, we just kind of stay a little bit above the treetops, which arguably that's not really navigable.
Well, John, but
landing.
Amazon delivery drones got to come down to the porch to deliver that package, and you could be flying FPV 10 feet high, and you're getting its way, and there's a crash, and little Johnny doesn't get his toy animal in the.
Oh God!
No, but Bobby,
next will happen. There'll be a message on Ring.
No.
Ring. I didn't get my Amazon package.
No, what'd you say the kid's name was, Ron?
Little Johnny.
Little Johnny. No, Bobby next door got it because it fell off the drone.
Yeah, right. I tell you what, I cannot wait to see how many drones are shot out of the sky going over Baltimore.
Well, especially west side. That's not that the harness breaks loose or something. Some kids out front going, "I wish I had a PlayStation 4." Oh yeah, man! Woo.
Dude, I live in a small town here in mid-Missouri where it actually could possibly work on some level here, and even I'm thinking, oh man, imagine people going after it. Like, I don't live in a big city area, but even in these suburban small towns, there's still so many problems like that.
I got this. We could start one for what is it called? The FPV Coalition. What is it, John? What's the name of the place?
It's the FPV Freedom Coalition. It is a nonprofit.
Okay, here's the commercial. We've got a kid, and he's pulling his little red radio flyer wagon, right? He's pulling it up the driveway. We hear an Amazon drone flying into the yard. We can see the kid, and he's just walking along, pulling his radio flyer, and he's listening to the drone. And then we see the drone, and it's pulling up to the neighbor's house, and he just wheels the little radio flyer wagon underneath, and the drone just sets the package down, and then it flies away, and the little kid just walks out of the driveway, walks down the road, waving at everybody. I got a new Amazon package in my radio flyer.
So DeMarco is saying, so will the toy drones sold at Walmart go away? I highly doubt those will have remote ID. So DeMarco, as long as they keep the under 250 grams, does not have to have remote ID or have to be registered, then those toy drones at Walmart are probably all going to be under the weight limit is what will happen. You won't see any sold that are above 250 grams. And there's a lot of toys that aren't as it is anyway. So some of those would probably not be affected, but the manufacturers would have to make sure, because the second they cross that amount, they've got to have remote ID.
What's going to be twisted is when they make us put remote ID on these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. They're like, oh, I'm taking off in my living room. Okay, let's go through the updated lens system. I got clearance to fly 15 feet from the TV and to the kitchen.
Yeah, John makes a good point, John. What about indoor flights? Do these rules cover drones that never make it out of your house?
The FAA has no jurisdiction inside your house.
So these rules don't apply inside the house.
That's right.
Anything that's got a roof over.
Okay, and then this goes back to the argument also is, do you own airspace above your own property?
Oh, God. Don't open this one up, because there was like a 200 comment thread in
this is no holds barred, no subject barred, no time limit match.
I tell you what, the commercial people don't want that to go through.
Well, I'm just saying, man. It's just, I think the whole premise, I don't know who convinced him that this was worth the money and the time. Or is it really this, or does the government itself just not want us flying? And this is the easiest way to make it seem like big business is pushing us out of the sky. Because you know as well as I do, these guys are all about the dollar at the end of the day. And the numbers just don't back them up logically on how they could profit from drone delivery. Unless they're saying all these minute deliveries, these teeny tiny packages are bogging the trucks down.
Right.
Yeah, I really think it's I think they're trying to figure something out for the future is basically what I think it is. And we're not just talking deliveries too. Someday when you start to have drones that are transporting people and stuff like that, emergency helicopters are going to be like emergency drones that can get out to remote areas really fast to pick up trauma accidents, get them to the hospital. I mean, I think they're trying to figure out a way to foresee how all that's going to work too.
Right. And what I was back to Bill's comment about if it's not the delivery people, it's just the government trying for money. But if they were just trying for money, they could throw all this stuff out and just make the drone license. Everybody has to have a drone license. It costs you $200 a year. That'd be the quickest, easiest way to make a lot of money without going through all these hoops or whatever. Because this is cost them money to do this. They could just charge a high fee for a license and break in the money.
I don't think it has with money. I think they just don't want the drones in the air because they're intending to possibly put up drones in a easier way to maintain an overall view of things.
Right.
I mean,
spying? Are you trying to say spying in a nice way?
I mean, they got cameras on every street corner, so I mean, that's easier, cheaper.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out why this came about.
It's just a way to. I think in their eyes, they think it's safer. You know, it's a way for them to track everything in the air.
Yeah, but like you said, it needs to be everything in the air. And it shouldn't always be our responsibility to yield. Everything in the air should broadcast a signal. You should know something big or small is in front of you. We should know something big or small is approaching. And that should be fine. I get that. And earlier, Mana brought up a point. We had talked about this, I think, and we had thought that the proposal was actually going to be logical, that we would have a kind of a flight limit as in a feet level, like say from 200 to 400 is ours. Say from 200 to 300 would be recreational hobbyist pilots. And from 300 to 500 would be the commercial drone airspace. And then, of course, how, regular aircraft isn't supposed to come below 500 feet anyway, then they could have their space there and everybody would be hunky-dory. And then we would still have the transponders to show, like when the commercial drones were lowering through our airspace, then we would know they were coming, and vice versa. So that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, but the other thing too is we got to remember, we got to be careful to think about, are these really problems, or are they just problems that they've created for us to think about, right? Like, do we even really even need to think about that separation of airspace? I think we could probably just coexist.
That's brilliant. How's a drone going to walk it up and put it on your front doorstep?
That's a good point, DeMarco. Yeah,
he said his wife did it, man. I mean, that's cool. I mean, it's a really good, a valid point. Like you said, they're just going to drop it in the front yard. What if it can't safely land? What if the computer tells it can't safely land? Is it just going to go? Is it just going to drop the package? And here's one thing. Here's the good one. How much you want to bet the first accident that happens with a commercial drone is going to get blamed on a recreational drone?
Oh, I can see it. They blame us for everything all the time anyway, as it is. So,
all right, Ron's got to bail. He's expecting a very important phone call. We're glad to have had Ron with us tonight. We'll see you again next week, my friend. And I'm going to let Ron tell everybody good evening.
I want to thank Bill, John, Ethan for having me in the show with them tonight. I had a good time tonight. We're having a great discussion here. And I want to thank everybody that joined us in chat. There's a lot of great comments tonight by everyone. It was a great group, a great vibe tonight. And I hope we get this issue with the FFA over-regulating us.
The FAA, yes, the FAA.
Yeah, sorry, I always blame the future farmers. The FAA over-regulating us. I hope we get that resolved soon. So I'm going to say good night to all my friends in chat and on the show, and we will see you next week.
Bye, Ron.
All right. Thanks, Ron. See you next week. Okay, so like I said, we've actually got a lot of good comments going on here. I really like the one about like where you're going to drop the package. We've brought up so many. I'm trying to figure out where the pipe dream came from in the first place.
Well, if you look at if you follow like Drone University, those guys over there at Drone U, and Paul gets really excited about it. It's fun to watch him, but he even says the committee that advised on this, that were actually made up of drone pilots and, people that commercially fly, said that when the FAA released all this stuff, there was none of their advisories in there whatsoever. So basically the FAA came up with this on their own, and it really shows how out of touch they are with the everyday flyer.
Okay, so the whole point is someone had to give the FAA input.
Yeah,
so there's
Amazon, FedEx, UPS.
Okay, so let's see those files. Let's see what they told the government. Let's see what they told the government, since that's what the basis of this new proposal is. There's two things. We need under the Freedom of Information Act, we need to find out what Amazon, FedEx, UPS, what they told them in that committee was the reasoning for this proposal. And then we need the independent, comprehensive, peer-reviewed risk assessment.
I'm sure in some cases, Bill, there was not necessarily a committee. There was, a little dinner for somebody here, with a little donation here or there from, a person who's totally not in any way connected to any of these companies. It's just a random $2,000 donation. You get what I'm saying, right?
I totally get what you're saying, but don't we have the whole point is I think they want us to comment like what we're saying. Like what we're saying, we think that it's going to detriment the sport this way, and in this area you're wrong, and this area you're wrong. That's what they want us to do, instead of asking, like when XJet was saying, instead of asking for the actual data that they're saying has caused this dilemma, this security and safety crisis. What was it? How many times was safety mentioned in the report?
160 times.
So
160
okay,
times.
so that's pretty bad. And I don't want to bring up any other thing that's very prominent in the news that has a much higher accident rate that doesn't seem to have near this kind of regulation on it. So this is ridiculous. We need to see some numbers.
Jet Martin has a good question. Do we think the FAA is ever going to allow non-commercial drone traffic to have BVLOS? Well, as far as I know, since they don't even allow Part 107 operators to fly beyond line of sight, I don't know. It looks to me like all they're doing is making it harder and harder just to keep flying the way we are. Some people suspected that when remote ID was mentioned way back, most people don't know that this goes way back to the Reauthorization Act that was passed back in 2018. And in that act passed by Congress, there is a section regarding a remote identification system for drones that the FAA would be required to establish. There just wasn't any explanation or any details about what it would be. That was left up to the FAA to decide on a security basis what would the needs be for that. And some people speculated that there would be some kind of remote live tracking and it could open up beyond visual line of sight operations. Instead, what we've seen is a total screw you. This won't give us anything that we don't already have, except maybe I saw one thing about night flights would be open for Part 107 flyers easily. That's the one thing that I saw. But other than
flying
that,
over crowds, things like that.
Yeah,
and beyond line of sight.
Yeah, but as far as beyond visual line of sight, there's nothing for it.
I posted that earlier. Floyd was talking about how the NTSB doesn't require a risk assessment. Okay, but here's the thing. In the actual wording of the FAA 2019-1100, they constantly bring up reference to this independent, comprehensive, peer-reviewed risk assessment. So it has been created. It is listed in the report. And under the Freedom of Information Act, we have the right to ask them, because I get what you're saying, that the larger body doesn't need that. But the FAA does, especially when they're trying to put in the report that that's their justification for changing the regulations. And they use safety, would you say 107 times or 127 times or 57 times or way too many?
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
On a side note, I was actually wondering, because we saw Alltel's went ahead and released the Evo 2, and it doesn't have anything on it in regards to remote ID whatsoever. I was curious to see if DJI was going to possibly delay the Mavic 3 until they know what could possibly be approved, because you can't put hardware on your drone if you don't know what the standards are going to be.
Yeah.
So there's no point in releasing it, unless they, just release it anyway without anything on it. The Mavic 2 Pro, it's got a feature on it in the app for remote ID where it'll broadcast and you can turn that off and on. So I'm not sure if they're going to go with that, or it's kind of unclear what DJI is going to do with their new drones.
Well, didn't they have kind of the plan for a new system?
Well, they're going to have what I think was called AirSense or something like that, where you can see other aircraft coming and they're going to have that beacon on there. But the FAA hasn't recognized that at all.
Yep. It's
so in a way, it's DJI is kind of wasting their time and money putting it on there if the FAA in 3 years is not going to even
Well, see, that's the thing is where they want to slam the brakes on. They want to cut everybody out of the skies, and they haven't even put the standards for the new tech that's supposed to be coming into the skies.
Right.
So it sounds almost like that they're trying to find a way in a weird roundabout way to get rid of all drones. Period. Because eventually, even a commercial drone is going to be a hindrance in that view. Wouldn't you think?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I think all the input on this was from the commercial people.
Probably
100%.
I would agree.
The whole system is designed to help them.
So you're trying. Okay, what you're saying is this timeline has been completely laid out by Amazon, FedEx, UPS, whatnot. That it has, and they've already, the money's already in place, and nothing can be done.
Well, I think it's going to happen the way it is, right? But I think I don't think anything's going to happen with that last tier. Your AMA fields. I think that's going to be set in stone. I think the first tier is going to be set in stone, but the middle one is what I think is going to be tweaked some.
Yeah, like we might be able to get something out of it. Now, you got to think about it this way. The FAA is like any organization, right? There's good people and there's bad people who work there. Not everyone who's working there is against the people. There's like I said, there's good people and bad people working there. And that's probably where a lot of this confusing moves by them are coming from. Like why introduce Lance? Why put all this work and effort into Lance when in 2 or 3 years it's just going to go bye-bye and they're going to get rid of it, right? Maybe there are people there who are saying, hey, wait, no, we can do this. These drone guys are fine. Give them this. And then you've got the guys who really are in people's pockets and they're like, no, screw them. We're just going to screw all of them. It's probably an organization that's being tugged one way and the other every day. So it's not all black and white.
Well, it seems so drastically apparent that they don't want hobbyists in the sky under any circumstances. So they're doing anything and everything to frustrate people into just giving up.
Right, which is funny because why would they make Lance, which actually enhanced things for hobbyists, in my opinion. It enhanced things for even Part 107 operators too, right? I mean, it just made things a lot easier. So why go and do something like that and then propose something like this? It makes no sense. Like I said, the FAA is probably getting torn every which way internally, depending on just who you deal with. It's like any other organization.
Well, I gotta go right back to it every time. I still can't see how a group of executives sitting in a room can say, yeah, we can make money delivering stuff with drones. And I just don't see how it's financially, how you can see there's a big profit margin there. And I guess that's my biggest confusion. And that's why I think I'm wanting to see that there's some underlying thing that they just don't want drones in the sky at all, because I don't see how you can go to any executive board and go, yeah, we're going to make a lot of money delivering packages with drones.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of it could just be people who think that they can soak a lot of investment money up from it. I mean, not that Amazon needs any more investment money than they already have, but who knows? It could just be a rule of the world mentality. I mean, some people get just rich enough that they just want to control everything, and the world is their play toy. You know what I mean?
And we're going through third-party providers that get hacked all the time.
Yeah, that's another huge concern. I mean, these companies are going to be sponging up every drone flight. They're going to have the full GPS log of our path, our pilot location, the serial number of our drone, every flight that we do. Okay, for standard and remote ID, as long as you have an internet. Well, limited. You have to have an internet connection. If If you don't have one, you can't fly at all. So
Yeah.
these companies are going to be soaking in all this info. And who's going to make sure that information is secure? Who's going to make sure that, that it's not being sold, right? I mean,
that's the one thing I definitely think that's illegal, because there is, for safety reasons, if you want to pull the safety card like the FAA obviously does, if you want to pull that card, there is absolutely no reason you need to store the data. No reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that's perfectly. Yeah, this right here, I will go with the license plate. I got no problem.
And I'm
with
okay
that.
with a digital license plate as well. I
got no problem with that whatsoever. That makes perfect sense. Broadcast a signal.
Yeah, but I'm not okay with needing to send our entire flight to a remote USS. Our cars do not send a log of everywhere that we drive. Our drones should not be required to do that.
I think they should simply say, where you are in the sky and what kind of drone you are, and to, give you an approximate size and idea of what you're facing, and what to look for.
Yeah, some of that could be acceptable. I mean, we would have to talk more about how it would be broadcast. Maybe there would be multiple acceptable standards for saying broadcasting the FAA number.
Yeah, I remember somebody was commenting about that they didn't want to go with a broadcast system because they're worried the frequencies would flood the airways. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a radio engineer, so I don't know
I have no clue
how that would work. But I mean, I guess it could make sense. But I don't think you're going to have 1,000 drones in the same 20 miles at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I mean, I fly a lot of toy grade drones, and typically the way those work is you literally pull up a Wi-Fi list on your phone and you connect to them with your phone's Wi-Fi, and that's how you get the video. And for the most part, I usually get maybe 400 feet of distance from that kind of method. So say someone would be able to see that data within that range. And I don't see the world blowing up from the drones emitting those kind of signals, those kind of frequencies. So,
well, here's another thing that I've been pointing out too. Drone deliveries, right? Okay, you're still gonna, even a large commercial drone, what do we figure the max? Gonna focus. Hang on.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to show Jet the Flight Radar 24 does show speed and altitude.
Okay. But here's the thing. Okay, you're gonna get a drone delivery, and something this size could be carried by a large commercial drone. Where is it gonna get that package from? Because this is my biggest confusion. And I was seeing Ronnie B was talking about they're looking at future profits. Fine. But they're going to have these absolutely humongous warehouses with everything possibly known to man stashed somewhere in them in order to put them on this drone to get it to your home. Because most of us, like me, I got this from B&H Photo in New York. And right. I don't think the drone's going to take off from New York and fly all the way out here.
Right, Bill, that's absolutely right. And me here, I live in a small town. If there's going to be a warehouse for Amazon, it's got to be more closer to St. Louis, St. Louis, Missouri. That's where it would be. And I'm 2 hours away from there. So what's the drone going to do? Fly from the Amazon warehouse in St. Louis to where I am? It's just, how's it going to work? They're going to have to build a warehouse closer. And so what's going to be the cost of having closer warehouses so they can do these drone deliveries? It could end up being a thing that they only offer in areas where there already is a warehouse in range, and it'll have a very limited availability, kind of like Amazon Fresh. If you think about that, you can't get Amazon Fresh, the food service, unless there's a Whole Foods in your area and everything else. They also do that Prime one-day delivery thing, only if, I guess, the warehouse is close enough.
Well, that's what and there's always. Oh, Ethan, did you have something?
No, I'm just talking to Jet.
Oh, okay. But I guess like I said, there's always going to be something that okay. Most people like to see. Hey, Dan, good to see you. Jody, good to see you. Jet, good to see you. Zach, good to see you. Phantom Hodges, Drone, good to see you. Ronnie B, I've been talking to you back and forth all night. Yay. Good. I'm just, it just doesn't seem to make any sense to me because there's going to be small companies that are in different states and different areas that you're going to order product from, or you're going to order a bunch of stuff on one day and you're going to want probably a bulk shipment of as many of those things as possible. And then you're going to have 15 different drones bringing each little individual thing and setting it in your lawn, and it just, I don't see how they convinced board members to go along with this. It just doesn't make any sense.
All this stuff just gives me a huge headache, honestly. Like one person said, this is all such a huge headache, just want to fly. It sucks. It really just all sucks.
It just, and it's cool. I'm glad everybody's been here tonight. We've gone an hour and 35 minutes, and we're gonna. I really want to try to readdress this subject every week so that maybe we can formulate a plan to get into these things.
Maybe we'll do it every other week. And we'll see.
I just wanted to just basically we could throw up the link and say please go by and comment, kind of thing. Maybe not go in depth like we did tonight. If there's some kind of new updates, maybe if XJet comes out with something or some other guys come out with something about the privacy issues or the Freedom of Information Act in order to get stuff that might throw a wrench in this situation, then that would be cool. But we're going to try to get back into like Ethan's got his stuff lined up for the Money Shots episode that we were going to do last season. We're going to do that this season. We're going to do some more color grading. We're going to try to get into the UAV medic like we were talking about before. We want to get the guests and stuff back on. We want to get some more people back on and get them introduced to the community, get some more input on their ideas and everything. We want to do some more software editing. Maybe I'll do some stuff where I'm creating intros or something like that. Maybe it'll be interesting. I don't know. Something I had brought up with Ethan was I personally don't know how to properly put music on my video and tag it in the comments and do all that stuff. Maybe we could have an episode where we do things like that. Drone therapy is about you all and everybody's input, and you all make the show better, and you allow me to just sit here and run my mouth for a little while because my wife don't let me talk. So with that being said, I'm going to throw it around the room to see if the gentlemen have any closing thoughts, and anybody in the chat has any closing thoughts, we will gratefully bring those up too. And first off, I'm going to throw it over to John.
Thanks, Bill. Guys, this was a really great discussion. All you guys in the chat were absolutely freaking awesome. We got to keep the conversation going about this, put our heads together, continue to think. But I do want to say this, especially since we just got off that subject about the stress of all this. Try not to let it get to you too much. If I sound like I am a little frazzled about this, it's just because I want to get people engaged. I want to get people energized about it. I want to get people talking about it. But I don't want anybody to quit. I don't want anybody to stop flying. If it's a good day, go fly. Today, I flew my Mavic. I went outside, flew my Mavic. My fingers were freezing. It was 10 degrees colder than it was supposed to be, but I flew today. And I didn't think much about any of the FAA crap or anything else. So just fly and keep enjoying doing what you're doing. We do have, worst case scenario, we do have 3 years out before any of this were to realistically take effect. So just keep flying, enjoy, have fun. Life's short. And with that being said, I'm gonna throw it over to Ethan.
Yeah, well, like John says, I don't get too worried about all this yet. I would definitely browse the internet and try to get some ideas and like write up a good letter to your comments so it doesn't kick, so the FAA doesn't kick it out right away. And think about some, and also don't be afraid to make suggestions about the changes that could definitely help us out. And if you have an idea about how they could do things better, definitely throw it in there. I'm excited for upcoming shows. We definitely got some color grading, and we got some money shots coming up. Also, I've recently been dabbling with HDR video, and so if anybody has I don't know if everybody knows, YouTube has recently enabled HDR that's viewable on some cell phones. So if you have a iPhone 10 and up, or if you have a Galaxy 10 and up, there's some other devices too, but those are the two main ones. You can actually get HDR video through YouTube. So if anybody's interested, I've done a few test videos, and so if anybody's interested, I can give you the link and you can check it out. But it is definitely a dramatic difference of how that looks over regular definition. But anyway, hope everybody had a great night. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. And with that, I'll throw it over to Bill.
Well, I'm very grateful to have everyone in the house with us tonight. We've had a very interesting discussion. We will continue this, but the biggest thing is, like John said, don't stress out. The whole point of drone therapy is the fact that drones give us a release. They make us feel better about our stressful days. So let's go out and fly. Like Chris Hope was saying, I just want to fly. So, but we need to stick together. We need to stop all this bickering. There's not enough scraps on that YouTube table to feed everybody. So just let them go. We all love to fly. That's why we're here. We all worry about flying because we love to fly so much. That what makes us feel good. And so please join us next week. Probably going to be something very open forum again. So that we'll kind of get our wheels under us about what we're going to do this season, get our ducks in a row. And like I said, we really want to do this UAV medic thing. So if you're having problems with your drone, whether it be a battery issue, whether it be a flight controller issue, whether it be something with a camera drone, with software or something like that, please get in touch with any one of us here, even Ron Brown. Get in touch with them, and we will try to get you on our UAV medic show. Hopefully, we will get that into the near future. John, I think, is planning on maybe doing something like that with maybe whatever issue might be active at the time.
Yeah, I can take that from here. So, like, for example, I might take a drone that has a common issue, a very common issue, and I'll solve it on air. I'll show how to fix it on air, and it'll just be like a really quick thing. Like, maybe my drone won't take off in beta flight. What can I do? That kind of thing. Or my drone's just flipping upside down. What can we do? Little stuff like that, just to sort of get it started.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Jay's saying that he's going to give it to the 15th. He thinks to hear from Skydio, and he's going to cancel his order. I think you're getting some people on the cancel train.
Okay, so yeah, here's the thing. If we don't, I'm with Jay, and I've talked to another friend of mine he may have already canceled. And I think that's why he's not up for it. But we were thinking, okay, because supposedly they said the 15th was when they were going to start shipping batch 2. And if they don't come up with some serious excuse, I think they need to offer us discounts at this point. Anyway, if they don't offer some serious excuse, I'm thinking seriously about canceling live on the air, maybe even bringing up support while I'm on the air and saying, I want to send all this stuff back because you can't be counted on. I mean, I hate to say that about this company, but they should have been truthful and honest from the get-go instead of trying to place drones here. And that's what it's seeming like now. That they were trying to get exposure and get people excited so that no matter what, they'd stay on the hook. Well, now we've got Evo 2 with 3 to 4 different camera varieties, and you can maybe even plug and unplug. Wasn't there a removable gimbal thing with them? Aren't the gimbals the cameras interchangeable with the Evo?
Yeah, I think they are.
Okay, so so basically you just need the body and you're set. So that's really, slapping $1,000, and it's got 12 sensors as opposed to how many does Skydio have? 9, or is it 6?
And I also think the infrared one can be used to do like legal inspections, because I think it gives the actual the numbers, the temperature degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, it's whatever sensor they're using. I think it's the ones you can use for doing legal stuff. Okay, so with that being said, I'm glad everybody came in. We're going to try to. We'll kind of just shoot from the hip next week. Let's call that next week episode "Shoot from the Hip." We'll just do it from that. That'll be our open forum title. We'll maybe put a Western theme up, some spurs and some horseshoes. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad that everybody was here. Very grateful to have had everybody in the house tonight. Please come back next week. Please tell your friends. We love everybody each and every week for being there.
and live long and prosper.
See you guys.